video lecture number 41 2.4 Have you earned your tomorrow by Edgar Guest, Part 4. Hello dear students and dear friends. In my last video lecture I discussed the margin activity and the poetic devices along with the figures of speech in the poem Have You Earned Your Tomorrow. Today too I will continue with the same poem and I will discuss the brainstorming section and the poetic appreciation of the poem Have You Earned Your Tomorrow. First, I will discuss the brainstorming section of this poem. So friends, open your textbook of English and see the brainstorming section of this poem on page number 113, or you can also read the activities given in brainstorming here on the screen in front of you. So let's start with the first activity in brainstorming section, that is A1. Discuss with your friend how she or he spent the whole day that was beneficial for others. Now here you have to discuss with your friend how she or he spent his or her whole day which was beneficial for others, and mention it here in 3 or 4 points. Now I tell you the answer. Number A, visited the old age home in my city. Number 2, spent time conversing about their children and family. Number C, taught some of them how to use the internet to communicate. And you can add one more here, that is number D, promised to visit them regularly. Now let's go to the A2 activity. The first activity from A2 is, it is given here. Was it well or sorely spent? Explain the meaning and give illustrations. Now I tell you the answer. The poet asks the reader again and again if he or she spent each day well or wasted it, that is sorely spent. We all are quite busy with our own lives, working for our own benefit. We all are quite busy with our own lives, working for our own benefit. The poet inspires us to be mindful and must be of use to the world around us. the poet prompts us to speak kindly and unselfishly help at least one fellow human every day. This message is implied throughout the poem. The poet asks the reader if he or she has made one person happy and encouraged the stranger who had lost all hopes again, if someone is grateful to the reader at the end of the day. Now let's go to the second activity from A2. The second activity from A2 is, as you close your eyes in slumber, do you think that God would say, you have earned one more tomorrow by the work you did today? Elaborate the idea expressed in these lines. Now these two lines given here are from the poem, and you have to elaborate the idea that is expressed in these two lines. Now I tell you the answer. The poet indirectly means that each day we exist, we must make our living useful. Here, the poet indirectly means that each day we exist, we must make our living useful. We are not sure if we shall wake up in the morning. So, the poet prompts us here to think when we are about to sleep that God may grant us one more day, that is tomorrow, to live. But for this, we have to use our today in service to our fellow human and help someone around us. At least one person should feel grateful. At least one person should feel grateful for our act of help to him. One should live mindfully, unselfishly, and look for helping someone in need. One should live mindfully, unselfishly, not the selfish way, not in the selfish way. One should live mindfully, unselfishly, and look for helping someone in need. This is the minimum expectation of God from us, so that God may grant us one more day, that is tomorrow, to live. Now let's go to the third activity from A2, and the third activity is this one. The poet suggests that one should do good to others. Complete the table by giving examples of doing good to following people. Here in this poem, the poet suggests that one should do good to others around that person. Now here you have to complete the table giving the examples of doing good to the following people. Following people like your family members, your friends and your neighbors. So in first column you have to mention what good things will you do to family members. In second column you have to mention what good things will you do to your friends, and in the third vertical column you have to give what good things will you do to your neighbors. Now I tell you the answer. First one, family members. The first good thing, the first example of good or first example of doing good to the family member. Number one, help with household chores. Number one, help with household chores. Number two, take care if someone is sick. Now, second one, friends. For friends, number one, be ready to help in the hours of need. Number one, be ready to help in the hours of need. Number two, share resources whenever possible. And number three, neighbors. Number one, be mindful and not to cause disturbance. Number one, for neighbors, number one, be mindful and not to cause disturbance. Number two, be cooperative in situations for common good. Now let's go for A3 activity. The first activity from A3 is pick out the describing words from the poem and add a noun of your own. One is done for you. Here you have to pick out the describing words from the poem and you have to add the noun to which that word describes. Now while writing the answer, you have to write the describing word first in the bracket, and after that word you have to write that noun to which it describes out of bracket. For example, here you are given one word of the same activity, that is toiling, time. Here toiling is the word, or toiling is the word that describes the noun time, means toiling is the describing word and time is the noun to which it describes. So thus you have to write the answer. First write the describing word in the bracket and then write the noun to which it describes out of the bracket. Just like this example of toiling in the bracket and time, the noun, out of the bracket. Now I tell you the answer. Number one, in the bracket, happier, noun, anybody. Number two, in the bracket, kindly, noun, word. Number three, in the bracket, cheerful, noun, greeting. Number four, in the bracket, churlish, the noun, howdy. Number five, in the bracket, grateful, noun, someone. Then number six, in the bracket, sleeping, the noun, day. Then number 7 in the bracket, rejoicing, the noun heart. Then number 8 in the bracket, fading, noun hopes. So thus you have to complete this table. Now second activity from A3. Match the words given in column A with their meaning in column B. Now in the column A you are given some words, and in column B you are given the meanings. So you have to match these words with their meanings. Now I tell you the answers. Number 1, cheerful. C, happy. Number 2, selfish. D, concerned with one's own pleasure. Number 3, sorely. A, with the feeling of disappointment. And number 4, discontent. B, lack of satisfaction. Now you have to write the answers of all these activities in your logbook or register at home, and solve all the activities given in the brainstorming section and write them in your register or logbook. Now the next activity, that is third one. There are a few examples of homonyms in the poem. For example, spoke. List homonyms from the poem and give their meanings. Now this activity has already been taken by us in my last video lecture. So now turn on the page and see the next activity. Now other remaining activities from the brainstorming section are to be done by you at home. Friends, once again I remind you, you have to solve all the activities given in the brainstorming section and write the answers of all these activities in your register or logbook at home. Whatever activities are not done by me here in my video lecture are to be done by you individually at home, and you have to write the answers of all the activities given in the brainstorming section in your logbook or register at home. Now other activities are to be done by you. Some of the activities like the figures of speech and the rhyme, they are also done. Now I directly go to the poetic appreciation of the poem, A5 activity. Write an appreciation of poem considering the following points. Now I will explain you the poetic appreciation of this poem line by line. First, about the poem, poet or title. First point, number 1, about the poem, poet, title. The poem Have You Earned Your Tomorrow by Edgar Guest is a motivational and thought-provoking poem. The title of this poem itself pushes the mind of the reader to wonder if we have done something useful today. Now second point, that is point number 2, theme. This poem urges the readers to be thoughtful about the people around them and should help them in their everyday life. Now, point number 3, poetic devices, language, style. In this poem, the poet puts forward some questions. Each question forces us to ask ourselves if we are kind, unselfish, patient, and thoughtful. In this poem, the figures of speech like interrogation, alliteration, and synecdoche are used. There is interrogation in 11 lines of the 16-line poem. The language is simple. The language used in this poem is very simple. The rhyme is also used in this poem. This poem has 4 stanzas of 4 lines each. The rhyme scheme of all 4 stanzas is same, and that is A A B B. Now, point number 4, spatial features, tone and type. The tone of the poem is very appealing and of advice to the readers. The tone of this poem is very appealing and of advice to the readers. This poem is universal and appealing to all the human beings in the entire universe to help their fellow humans. This poem is universal and appealing to all the human beings in the entire universe to help their fellow humans. Now, number 5, values and message. This poem gives us a very clear message that one's life is meaningful only if it is useful for humanity at large. This poem teaches us that we all as human beings should always be helpful to the people around us in our everyday life. Now, the last point, my opinion about the poem. Point number 6, my opinion about the poem. This poem is an uplifting poem. This poem is an uplifting poem. We can take the message from this poem and begin implementing it in our life immediately and every day. I repeat the last point. It is an uplifting poem. We can take the message from this poem and begin implementing it in our life immediately and every day. So friends, you have to solve the remaining activities from the brainstorming section at your home and write the answers of all these activities that are given in the brainstorming section of this poem in your long book or register at home. So friends, we stop here. In my next video lecture, I will start with the new topic. Thank you. very much. Have a nice day.